And this is all about it escalating. And well, when you grow weed, you gotta sell it. And then you start meeting the people you shouldn't meet, and that's where the spiral happened. Started meeting people who were into harder drugs. Yeah, and so hey, I got these things. I got some blue 30s, which happen to be fentanyl, and boy, those work better than Norcos. You don't need as much. And that's where it really spiraled down. And it was quick, man. It was a matter of months before I ended up in the hospital. And that was the that was the end of that. I put my family through hell. You're going? Good.
Well, thank you for doing this. What is your what is your name?
My name is James.
All right, thanks, James. And I like to always start with this question. All right, so what is addiction?
Wow. To me, it was, I guess still is, something that you become obsessed with, that you cannot put down, and constantly thinking about it and ways to get it.
Let's go ahead and get into your story, man.
Wow. Well, it started when I was really 14 years old in many ways. It was, there was a lot of trauma in my life at that time, families, divorce, step parents, physical abuse, and it was a tough time. So, grabbing a beer is sounded like a good time when you're 14. And then eventually you run into the gang that likes to get beer and smoke pot and do that. I never thought that it would lead to where it led to, but that was a big deal. Looking back on it, it was a huge deal. It was an escape for me, and I know that sounds cliche, but that's really what it was. I really just didn't want to be around. High school and a couple drinks, smoking pot with the guys. I thought I was pretty harmless. I found that drinking wasn't my thing. So I just smoked pot for years and years and years. All through my teens, 20s, and 30s. I'm a musician, so I did a lot of touring and very accepted. So I didn't see anything really too terribly wrong with that. My life was all right. I moved away from my hometown and moved away from the family. Oh gosh, great. That was the best. And things started to take off. Signed a couple record deals, and that was super exciting. And still, like maintaining. California, the land of great weed. Oh, it was awesome. I couldn't believe it. And that was fun, getting to travel to Europe, Japan. Couldn't ask for anything better. You know, bands are popping. We're on MTV. We're doing our thing. The circle that I was rolling in, just partying, debauchery, smoking weed. Again, that was my thing back then. Yeah, just sex, drugs, and rock and roll was my lifestyle. Now, by no means a huge rock star. I was living that lifestyle on the road, having just a lot of fun. It was as cool as you would think it would be. At that time, I kind of like steered away from any type of hard drugs at that time. That wasn't my thing at all. Maybe because of that, I just kept working and kept getting the calls. I answered the phone. When the phone rang, I answered the phone on the first ring and like, yeah, what's up? Let's gig, let's work. So that's where I was at. And I made some good money, and I thought it was cool. I don't have a job. This is not a job to me. This is what I do. It was a real slow burn because eventually the work was kind of drying up for me as far as the rock work was drying up. So playing in local cover bands and teaching music became my life. I wasn't traveling, and I wasn't at that really cool level, but still people are saying, wow, you're making a living at doing music. How cool is that? It wasn't exactly what I wanted, but I totally accepted it. As that went on, I met my wife, who's a musician, and great, just awesome. Just, yeah, I love her to death. And then I said, well, maybe it's time to kind of settle down. And we, started having kids and, living the suburban lifestyle in a way. And, and that's where it started. I started to see the other side of addiction. I thought I was on the right track. Um, still smoked weed. I remember remember telling her, "Oh, everyone needs an ounce of weed in their house at all times." It's just stupid stuff like that. But I guess I kind of felt bored, and I started, with some Norcos, and it felt good. I had a lot of pain. I'm getting older, and all that, and those are the excuses. But yeah, I use those excuses to justify me using that. I actually stopped smoking weed. Found out that, hey, if you take a pill, nobody knows, as opposed to if you smoke weed, everybody knows. Like, a Norco for a headache. That's when it started to escalate. It was a slow spiral. And when I say slow spiral, there were some super, super good times after I stopped smoking weed and found that Norcos really helped for pain. So I wasn't immediately out of control at all. Not at all. A very slow burn. It started escalating a little bit, financially hurting. Started hustling up things that I probably shouldn't have been doing. Got 3 kids in Catholic school, and there's a lot of pressure. I didn't see it as a lot of pressure at the time. It was just it was stress. Oh gosh, so much stress. But then the pandemic hit, and there you go. I'm out of work. Out of work, the worst feeling in the world, and that's when it got super bad for me. Because what does a guy do when you're out of work and you got 3 kids? What do I do? I got to get a job. Well, I don't really have those skills. I never even thought about it, right? So, I was in deep trouble, man. So what do I do? I'm not thinking straight. My Norcal use is increasing. I started using kratom to get away from Norco, and that worked for a little bit. But I just kind of almost combined both of them at one point, so that wasn't good. But what I did, I went back to stuff that I knew. I'll grow weed in my garage, and I will make a living and support my family, which is just, I look back at that, it's horrible that I thought that would be the right thing to do. I took an overdose of fentanyl, and yeah, and it is the worst. Apparently, I fell over in front of my at that time my 13-year-old son. Maybe it was 12, and an ambulance was called, paramedics, and there I am lying on the floor, and he's not breathing. And I woke up in the emergency room, and I knew what happened. It's like, oh no, well, now it's over for me, right? So that was the beginning of thinking that, hey, it's time to get it together. I didn't get it together right then, but the seed was planted. Like, I got to do something. I really didn't think there was a way out, though. And as I was going through this, I really didn't think there was an out. Lying in the hospital, cramping up, feeling horrible. I mean, I was given Narcan, and that's not a good feeling. I saw it as a choice. Either I just ride it out and, leave the family behind and just ride it out, because that's the easy way. Or I, straighten up and get clean, which sounded like getting clean doesn't even sound, it wasn't even in my vocabulary. I did neither. I kind of straddled. I just thought I would kind of slow down. I did a couple days and I kind of went back to it. And that was just the, the worst feeling in the world. It was just horrible, absolutely horrible. So, everyone's got their eye on you. I'm still not working. I was in the worst, darkest place in my life, and the darkest place for my family too. As they see dad, like, oh, dad's sick. Oh man, that's bad. Yeah, almost in a sick way, asking them to accept me that way was just, it was so painful because you know this is me. you know I love, I love them to death, and I love my family to death, and I almost thought at a time that this is the way it's going to be. I will be this guy. Hopefully they'll be stronger than me, because I really didn't think I would pull out of it. I went to, traditional insurance, and to try to deal with this. I was deceptive there, and it was just, it didn't work for me. It was not working. And I look back at it, I don't think I wasn't ready. I know that, but I still had some sick feeling that, like, oh, I can handle it. I just won't go that hard anymore. I just got to get back to work, and that was my goal then. Still, I had stuff around my house where I knew it was stashed that was not helping my cause. A lot of deception. I had insurance. I had Kaiser insurance, and they weren't too much of a help. And here's the stupid. This is so dumb. So let's go do a urinalysis, and let's drug test. So I know that I have fentanyl in my system, and this is even before I stopped for good. And I do the drug test, and it comes up clean. What? So then my sick brain says, because we're sick, man. I was. It says, well, here, I told you so. I'm clean. I told you so. So now I'm like, I can get away with this. I can go back. I can get away with this stuff. And that was another thing that happened to me anyway. It's like, do I really have to get clean? I can say I'm clean, and they don't. I'm coming up clean. Well, they don't test for fentanyl. So there you go. There's my out. Oh my gosh, what's going on? And so here's the deception. I'm clean, but I'm not. Well, you must have epilepsy or something, because your eyes keep rolling back in your head. So I rolled that out. Yeah, maybe I got some kind of neurological disease. Maybe, so it was everything not to give it up. So that's really what it was. It's hard to say now, but it really, that's what it was. Yeah, it was leaving for a gig that my wife is driving me to, because dad can't drive right now because he's sick. And he drove me to the fire department, where we have a friend who's a paramedic there. They drove me to the hospital. I ended up in the hospital again. And that was it. That was it. And I went in and asked for Suboxone. I started on that. I didn't think it was going to work or anything, but I did. And that's when, about 3 or 4 days into it, which was, of course, very painful, that it's not a fix right away, that's for sure. But I remember telling my wife, I go, I think I'm going to be okay. And it was a big relief because I kind of say, wow, maybe there is a way out. I go to a meeting, I'm doing some online classes, and that's when it started to happen. That's when I started on my journey. That was a big turning point for me. Wow, it's like I can be. Listen. I think I can do this. I kind of felt empowered with that. I still have a huge problem. I'm still on Suboxone or buprenorphine. Um, but I have a problem with that because in the beginning when I was doing this through the Kaiser program, they make you jump through hoops. So in a weird way, and not even weird way, in a way, I was still chasing something. I still had that you had to chase this drug. You had to be accountable for this. You know, now I'm testing every week in order to get a prescription, and they're testing me for everything because everything's out in the open now. Now they're testing me for every drug in the world, and now I'm coming up clean, and it's good, and I know that too, and I should be coming up clean. But still, I had the mandatory meetings, and that was tough. But I wasn't going to give that up because it seems like I was going to get my life back on track. And when I started with Kaiser, actually I was literally kicked off the program because, and no one believes addicts, but after 7 days of being on Suboxone, I went back and I tested, and they detected fentanyl in my system, and in God's truth, I did not uh, take that. So I'm a liar, right? That was like the first week of sobriety for me. And then I was found out as a liar. So that was a tough pill to swallow. So I actually went out to a Suboxone clinic, and it really did work for me. It really did work. And the thing with insurance, what I found out is it's one size fits all. If you don't conform, you're out. So it's very frustrating. And I was determined to prove everybody wrong with that. And I did. I'm sober in my head. I'm going to meetings, and I'm getting my keychains, and I'm doing it right. I'm really doing it. Pretty happy because lifestyle changed, and my better version of me now than I was 6 months ago. Yeah, so I'm clean. But then I found out there's a part of the AANA community that doesn't accept that as being clean, and I get it, and so I am I'm a little bit guilty about that. I have that crutch, and it got me to where I am now. That worked for me, and that's what got me out of it, and it really did pull me out.
See, I want to get into some questions and then I'll let you get out of here.
That's all right, man. It's all good.
You see the version of yourself a year and a half ago was kind of managing the substance use. Everything was going relatively well, and then all of a sudden, thump, the big fall, and right into a plate of food, literally.
That's literally what happened.
And you have the opportunity to share one big tip. What's the tip that you want to share to that guy?
Well, if that guy would have known that there is a way out, I didn't really know this. People are pretty accepting and willing to help you. I didn't know that. I mean, I know there's people that are jerks and just like, screw you. And but there are some really good people out there that will help you and accept you and say, you can do this. A pat on the back is so much. It's really all I really needed was a pat on the back. But that guy was so afraid to even admit that this happened to me. And maybe it's my ego, but I didn't think anyone would accept me back. And people are pretty accepting, once they figure out that you're genuine. And that's what I would tell that guy.
Do you ever wonder, am I actually an addict? Maybe I can drink. Maybe I can get back into smoking a little weed.
Those thoughts they're so fleeting. I do think like sometimes, oh, it's unfair. Why can't I have a glass of wine? But it's really it it's so quick. It leaves very quickly, and I know that I'm an addict. Oh my gosh, yes. I look back at it's like everything that's happened, and it's I've been an addict, since I was a young teenager.
What kinds of models have been most helpful for you? You've mentioned therapy, you've mentioned going into 12-step meetings, going to groups that are like more like process group oriented and not necessarily 12-step oriented.
Well, I have this like guilt. I go to like, 12-step meetings, and I have not 12-stepped at all. I'm pretty guilty about not doing it like, the 12-step way. It makes me feel like am I different? Everyone talks about that's how it worked for them. And you have to do this. You have to do this or else it's not going to work. It's just a matter of time till you fall off the wagon. I'm a little bit worried about that, along with, on the Suboxone too. I think that I'm finding my own way, uh, not on purpose or anything. It's just, I'm just doing it that way. Really, the Thursday night groups, those have been really everything for me. And that has really helped. There's not just one way to do this. That's my opinion on it. And in many ways, it's life's pretty good for me now.
That stands out for me when you say life's pretty good for me now, because there's been in the last year, even in the last 3 months, big changes for you. Just kind of for me, signs of your recovery.
Yeah, there's been a lot of great things that have come my way, and I didn't really push for them. Yeah, really, in the past year, there's been a lot of great things. We have this new property that we live on, 4.3 acres, and I'm walking out there, and I generally I go, I'm really happy. And that was super special. A lot of opportunities have come my way with a lot of very cool people I have met, business opportunities. Maybe I recognize that there's like good things in my life, but I think the biggest thing is that my family now can count on me. I'm not running out. I'm not doing crazy things. I'm not leaving early for work for a gig to go meet someone. I'm not waking up at 5 in the morning so I'm going exercising, but I'm meeting someone. So I think that thing is really big, that the family can count on me, that I'm going to be there. So my phone's going to be on. I'm going to be where I say I'm going to be. And that's huge. That's just huge, man.
What is sobriety?
Wow. I knew you would ask a question like this. I'm totally not ready for that. Now, this is where I'm conflicted, because I think of sobriety as not taking anything that's going to change your mood, and that's where my conflict with Suboxone is, because I feel like I'm not quite completely living. Well, I shouldn't say that. Let me rethink this. You can see just by the way I'm saying this, I have this thing. If I take buprenorphine, it's like, are you really sober? Well, all the signs in my life, all the good things that have happened to me, say yes, you are, man. You're doing it, but you have a lot of help with this drug here, because that's a drug. So I am still in that mode. I'm still the tug of war of what's going on. But if you're in a place where I was in, I would take the way out with Suboxone every time, and not even think about it, because it's given me my life back. And when I say giving me my life back, it's given me a life that I didn't think I was going to have, and I can see it, going this way. My life is on this trajectory, and instead of, well, it's a spiral. Sobriety, it's just my lifestyle has completely changed. I am a better person than I was. I have better relationships with people, and like, you're not running around hiding, lying, doing all this stuff. Well, yeah, I'm not doing that. So cool. Check, 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 check. So if that's sobriety, I'm sober.
That's it.
Cool. Oh wow. Oh man. Let me see. Can I see what it looked like?
Hi, I'm Kenny Hill with Recovery Hill. My intention here is to show the diversity of sobriety. How one finds themselves clawing from bottom is as nuanced as their journey to bottom. And their situation and recovery has the potential to be highly relatable to somebody who is watching. Therefore, I offer the interviewees to have total freedom to express whatever has worked for them, whatever has helped them sustain sobriety. That said, here at the end of the interview, I want to make a quick request so that it wasn't to take away from the interview itself. This request is that you like and share the video. You can subscribe if you want, that's up to you, but at least like and share it so that the content can get to as many people as possible. There is a great capacity and potential for the story you just watched to be able to help out somebody else to begin their story of recovery.